Hello everybody and welcome to Rest and Reason. I'm RP the Red Panda and today we're going to be looking at the strengths and weaknesses of Oath. And we're going to focus a little bit more on the weaknesses to help you understand what is wrong with this game so that when you're watching all these videos telling you how good this game is and getting you excited, you know if it's really for you or not by understanding its weaknesses and if those weaknesses would bother you enough that you wouldn't want this game or you might want to try it before buying it. So let's go right into the main feel of this game, which is fantasy Chinese history. Now, the reason I call it that is because just like Chinese history, there are three main groups vying for control of this empire. There's the emperor who's trying to hold power. There are the people under the emperor, both in the court and in the nobility, who are trying to take the power. And then there are the people outside of the empire who are trying to usually conquer the empire. And ultimately, all of these feel very much like how Chinese history is this constant battle between three groups that look almost identical to this game. However, it's a little different from Chinese history in that the Mandate of Heaven is more of a Western version of Mandate, meaning an idea where you have a specific thing you have to do, mandate, instead of more of a general mandate to rule. And that's actually its main mechanic, which is asymmetric goals. This game is all about different goals for each of the groups playing the game, and those people are going to be going for different things and can even change what they're going for during the game. It's not about getting victory points, it's about getting victory, which is a specific goal. So, what's the main score here? The score is a 3.67 out of 5, and that's a silver recliner. This is an awesome game. I love this game. I really enjoyed it. My wife loves it. She loves running around the world and exploring it. It's a really engaging game, and if it sounds at all interesting to you, you should definitely buy it. It's a silver recliner and a general recommendation. But why? Why is this awesome game not quite a gold recliner? Well, it ultimately comes down to its weaknesses, which I'll get to after its strengths, because I want to start on a positive note. So let's start with the strengths. Its biggest strength, its most amazing feature, is its asymmetric goals. I love these asymmetric goals. They are so interesting and fascinating, and most of the games end up with you losing because you forgot the other person was going for something different. You're so busy focused on your goal that you forget they're going for a goal. And that's not because it's so difficult to remember the goals. There are only 4 goals in the game that are even possible. It's because you get so into your part of the story, you forget other people have a different story from you. And I love that. It is so much fun to do. Now, it's a gold recliner in novelty. It gets a 5 out of 5 because I've never really seen a game that has multiple different goals for multiple players. And then on top of that, allows some of the players to change their goals throughout the game. It makes for a really unique and exciting experience. And then mechanical theme. It is a 5 out of 5 on mechanical theme, which honestly is rather rare on this channel. It feels so much like you are in a world trying for that goal, getting distracted by that goal, watching out for corruption and falling apart and combating against all these people with different goals than you. It's so immersive and wonderful, and it's actually the biggest reason my wife really loves the game, because it's so immersive that even though it's not her style of game usually, the world is so immersive and she feels like she's in it that she enjoys it. And then finally on thought, it's again a gold recliner on thought. It's so much fun to think through, how can I accomplish my goal? But then you have to constantly remind yourself, what about those other 3 goals? Those goals that I'm not going for. I have to make sure I do those. And if I don't, oh no, those guys get me. They beat me. So it is a wonderful game, and if this sounds exciting to you, you should probably buy it. Now, if you're really enjoying this content, or if it's helping you understand if you want this game or not, please show your support by hitting that subscribe button, hitting that notification button, and hitting that like button, letting people know that they should watch this video to get help to know whether they should buy this or not. Now, from the positive note, we're going to move over to a little bit more of a negative note, which is the weaknesses of this game. Why is it a silver recliner? And ultimately, this comes down to 2 things. First is the hyper-specific rules. This game has really nitpicky rules that you have to constantly check the manual for, and it is just killer. It's made it so that I've gotten this off my shelf way less than I would have wanted to. First off, it hurts the synergy. It brings it down by 2.5 points. And the synergy in this game otherwise would be perfect. But there are so many little pieces of dirt in the clockwork that it's making it grind to a halt and not quite click. And if they just took those little specks out, it would work. Second of all, it hurt the simplicity by 5 points. This is a game I would never introduce to a new player to board gaming because they would just get bogged down by the rules. Maybe somebody who's experienced, maybe an intermediate player, but I couldn't bring it to a new player. Whereas if this wasn't so difficult, I actually would bring it to new players because of the experience. And finally, on universality, this game is really tough to bring out to everybody. It's a minus 1.85 out of 5, and it loses a little bit of points, a decent amount of points, because it's harder to introduce to people with all of these rules weighing it down. Ultimately, interestingly enough, this demonstrates a weird reversal of my usual comments on games. Usually I'm saying this game is not thematic and it needs to be more thematic. You've heard me say it 1,000 times on this channel, but this is not that. It's actually going almost to the opposite extreme. It's trying to be so thematic that it gummed up the works with all these hyper-specific thematic points. And you need to be in the middle. You can't have every single thematic rule that you want, and you can't end up having a game that's totally athematic in the modern gaming community, because there's always going to be a better game with better theme, or a game with the same amount of theme with less rules. You need to be in the middle, the sweet spot. And the sweet spot is having just enough rules that are thematically sensible to make it feel immersive, but not so many that it feels cumbersome and defeats the whole purpose of making them feel intuitive in the first place. If your game has thematic mechanics, it's going to be easier to learn, but if you make so many of those little tiny mechanics that it ends up being hard to learn, you've just defeated the whole point, or one of the biggest points. So ultimately, that is my big problem on the hyper-specific rules. The second problem is random cards. It's got a single deck, and that single deck sends out single cards. There are other single spots where single things come out, and you don't know what you're going to get. And when you don't know what you're going to get, it makes the game way harder to strategize for. It brings the masterability down by 1.5. And that's a real bummer in a game that I actually felt like was really quite masterable, but because of all these pieces that didn't quite have masterability, that had these random card elements to it, where they had been a little lazy, I feel like, in design, the game had less masterability. Now, do you agree or disagree with what I've said? If you agree or disagree, please let me know down in the comments, and let other people know down in the comments, because other people watching this should know, if you agree, that there's a lot of people who agree with me out there on the internet, and that helps them know, okay, this isn't just some random guy saying some random stuff. And for those of you who disagree, it gives us both the chance to put forward your case. I argue against it, you put it forward again, and ultimately, for those who really want to know if this game is for them, they can read those and understand both sides of the argument, so they fully understand, is this a game I should spend maybe $100 on, right? It's expensive, but is it worth it for you? That's something they need the information for, so please comment underneath this video. Now, who should buy Oath? Who would I recommend this game for as a silver recliner, a general recommendation to these particular people? First off, legacy lovers. If you love legacy board games, Oath is going to be one of the best, most amazing ways you can play Legacy, period. First off, you can have people come in and out of each round without making the whole game fall apart. A lot of Legacy games, you have actual characters or factions that have to be played by the same player every time. In Oath, you could easily have somebody miss a round and then come back and it wouldn't cause any problems. You could easily have a visitor come in and play just one round and it wouldn't cause any problems. It's an amazing game in that way, but every single round builds upon the last round. Every single round makes the game and the world more rich and wonderful, and that leads me to the second group of people I would recommend this game for. People who love exploring the world. If you love going into a board game and you love looking around and picking and pulling up all those little details, turning over every rock to find those little things that make the game more fun, this game has that in spades. It literally has a card based off of a meme that I didn't even notice. I found it on the internet that it existed, and I know it's in the box. and it's just there, and you'll find it, but it will take a while. And that's what's so amazing about this game, is that you can explore this world so richly. So if you love exploring worlds, Oath is one of the most, if not the most, immersive, beautiful worlds to explore that you can find in board gaming. Those are my thoughts on Oath, and if you appreciated this, if this or any of my other videos have helped you choose what game to buy or not to buy, or helped you in any way, please head over to our Patreon, support us there financially so we can keep doing this day after day, week after week. And as always, thank you so much for joining us today on Rest and Reason.